Are you soon to give a home to a super cute little roborovski hamster? Or maybe you're looking to check or upgrade care of a robbo you already have. In this video, I'm going to share what you need for your roborovski hamster in 2024. I've broken this video down into 3 sections: essentials, nice to have, and what not to buy. So let's start with essentials. First of all, you will need an enclosure for your robbo. It's really important that you get the size of the enclosure right so that your roborovski has the space he or she needs to live a life free from stress or boredom. The minimum enclosure size recommended for any domesticated hamster is 100 by 50 by 50 centimeters. This gives 5,000 centimeters square of floor space. For reference, this is the enclosure I have for my roborovski Pearl, which is 150 by 50, which is 7,500 centimeters squared of floor space. The depth is important because this allows you to have a good depth of bedding of at least 30 centimeters. And if possible, in some parts of the enclosure even more than this, whilst also still being able to include the height of a medium or large wheel. Hamsters are burrowers, so it's essential to give them depth of bedding. This brings me on to the next essential item, which is bedding. You will need a lot of bedding because added bedding needs to be compacted down so that it holds structure better for your roborovski's burrows. Make sure you do not get any fluffy bedding no matter what the packet says about being safe, as this is extremely dangerous to hamsters. Also, be careful with sharper bedding like aspen shavings, as they can cut your hamster when they rub past it. Sawdust or any kind of dust is very dangerous, so make sure your bedding is dust-free and natural with no added colours or fragrances, which are chemicals that are harmful. As robbos in the wild live in deserts, they would usually live in sand, so it's really important to give them as much sand as possible, which is the third essential for a robbo. Depending on how much sand you provide your robbo, they will dig in the sand, hide food in it, roll in it to bathe, and generally enjoy running around in the sand. You can also smooth the sand over each evening, and this is a great way to check they've been out in the night, as you will see their paw prints. Sand is also really easy to clean, as you can sift through it with a sand sifter. Where you put the sand is up to you. You can put it in a dig box or just straight into the enclosure. Make sure this is not chinchilla dust or any kind of dust, but pure sand with no added chemicals or dyes. The fourth essential item is a water bowl, because of course it is very important your robbo has access to fresh water 100% of the time. Drinking from a water bowl is more natural than out of a bottle. The bowl will need to be heavy so that it cannot tip over and soak the enclosure or hurt your robbo. The fifth essential is food. Don't buy cheap pet shop food. Make sure it's organic if possible, because this will mean it hasn't been sprayed with chemicals, and it should be mainly seeds, as this is what robbos eat. 70 to 90% of their diet in the wild is made up of seeds. Also, it will need to be rich and varied with no pellets and no cheap unhealthy ingredients. The other 10 to 30% of what robbos eat in the wild is insects and plant matter, so you'll also need to give your robbo fresh food like, for example, spinach, and their food will need to contain insects such as mealworms, or you'll need to add these to the seed mix that you decide upon. You can also give your robbo dried herbs and flowers and sprays. The sixth essential item is a wheel. Robbos are extremely fast and active and can run long distances. A wheel is really important because it allows them to do this despite being in an enclosure, which is of course far smaller than a desert. This will make them happier, less bored, and keep them healthy. The type of wheel is really important. I personally like to use a cork-lined wheel, as this gives grip to their paws and means they don't have to scrabble or strain their little legs to get the wheel moving. The larger the wheel, the better the control the robbo will have, meaning they won't flip over or fall out, both of which can be dangerous. If getting a large wheel, you need to check they can move it without trouble and that it is not too heavy for them. I recommend the Night Angel wooden wheel in size large with the cork liner for grip. Depending on where you put your wheel and water bowl, you may also need a platform or two to put your wheel and water bowl on. Make sure not to place anything on top of the bedding without a stilted platform to support, as if your robbo is tunnelling underneath, you won't want heavy items to collapse onto them. Okay, so that is it for essentials. There are other items which I class as nice to have. Hides, including a multi-chamber hide, If you provide enough bedding, this is not needed because hamsters can make their own chambers in the bedding, but some hamsters do really like multi-chamber hides. They can also act as another platform. Tunnels are great for adding clutter to your Robbo's enclosure, and because hamsters are prey animals, they love having tunnels for moving around the enclosure, and of course you can put them half into the bedding to encourage burrowing. You can also use these peep tunnels which go below the bedding. Safe branches are also great for your Robbo to explore and forage around. I mentioned a dig box before. If you don't want to put sand loose into the enclosure, you can use a dig box, or you can have a dig box for other substrate. And that is the next optional item you can have. Other substrates for enrichment, such as cocoa chips or beach chips, for example. A great item to include is natural rocks like sandstone rocks. And finally is the do not buy section. You will find a variety of products for hamsters in pet stores. I personally don't like any of the chain pet store products in the UK. Instead, I shop online or on German pet shops or Etsy. Some items for sale for hamsters are very dangerous. These include fluffy bedding, fluffy or fleece accessories, seesaws, plastic tunnel tubings, small enclosures, hamster balls, treats that aren't natural and contain additives, preservatives, etc., unnatural gnawing items, edible toys and items rolled in herbs like this for example, and plastic accessories. I'm going to make a video looking at the best places to source some of the items I talk about in this video, so look out for those. Also, if you can recommend any great items for Robbos, do let me know. I hope you found this video helpful. If you're interested in learning more about Robbos in the wild, see my video here. And if you're interested in seeing how fast and how far my Robbo runs on her wheel, see my video here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.